So welcome everybody, and today I thought it would be a really good opportunity to once again shine a light on diversity in our industry on a day where equality is really front and central in our minds. So I'm delighted to invite Carol Ann Whitehead back to speak to us. Carol Ann spoke on the issue of diversity in the events industry at CHS Leeds in 2019. And I would say that Carol Ann has got a very impressive and long biography. She's very experienced in the field of diversity. So I'm going to admit to just reading a few things from her biog out. She's an advocate for women's rights, equality and diversity and inclusion. She is a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. She's on the Northern Power Women Power List, as well as been a director of the People's Hub on Action Partner for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Carol, I know that list does really go on. And in addition to that, you are kindly donate your time to us to judge the CHS Awards and what have you. So a very big welcome to you today. And I'm just so happy that you've taken the time to speak to us.
Thank you, Emma. I'm like a fine wine. That's what it is.
It's always get better year on year. Yeah, absolutely. So we're not going to sort of spend a lot of time today, but one thing I just wanted to talk about was you spoke for us 12 months ago now on diversity. And can you just kind of remind us of what the themes and challenges were that you and your panellists were talking about then 12 months ago?
Right, okay. So I thought it was poignant, given it was the 10th anniversary of CHS. When you started it, I've been with you right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And the idea was to get the panel together with different experiences. So we had, for example, Holly Gaffney from Lloyds Banking Group, who runs the events for Lloyds Banking Group. We had Olenka Sereki. She is the founder of UK Together. We had Aaron Hornback, and he basically is an official pastor, as in as a religious sense, from the religious sense, and he also was the event manager of a huge venue attached to the church, the 1,000-seater venue. And also, I can't remember, a contact of yours, I can't remember her name, but
Lee Cowlishaw that also spoke on the panel, or was that on something?
Yeah, she was from a very large corporate organisation.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And so I basically talked about having true diversity in the events industry, because there are certain statistics that have been put out whereby, yes, they're diverse. And when I say diverse, they're talking about mainly gender, and some of it a bit of race as well. But really, they were, especially to do with race, they were on the lower echelons of the event industry. So just to take the show, the CHS show, for example, you'd see a lot of ethnic minorities cleaning up, serving the drinks, serving them food, that kind of thing. But they were not on the stands. They were not the decision makers. They were not the negotiators at the award. They were not going to get the awards to represent the company. In fact, a lot of the women are there in middle management, and it was the men that were getting up and getting the awards. So it was a discussion on how can we change that? How can we unblock that blockage? What issues are there? And we discussed quite a few things, and each panel member shared, each panel member shared their experiences. Olenka, for example, she used to work for a very, very, very large corporate group running the events, and she was discriminated against by the management. She wanted to go further, high up, she was qualified to do so, and she was discriminated against to the point where it made her ill. And it took 3 years to actually, from a dispute point of view, to sort that out. She shared that at the First Direct Arena of her experience, and basically said, right, well, I'm going to do something for myself. And what we also established, it wasn't if we're talking about pro-women, it wasn't anti-men. It was pro-women. It was helping women to go further. If we were talking about pro-ethnic minorities, it wasn't anti-white. It was just making sure there was equal opportunities for those people.
Well, equality is just that, isn't it? It is absolute equality. We, as women, anybody from ethnic minorities, we don't want anything special or extra. It's just that level playing field. And I think, and what did you talk much around? It's kind of the mindset of people, because I'm sensing there's a lot of discrimination that people aren't really aware of. That sometimes that unconscious discrimination.
Yeah, and there's a lot of unconscious bias, and I've been talking to quite a few contacts in the recruitment industry, and there have been quite some people who have gone into the recruitment industry as mystery shoppers. When I say mystery shoppers, they've gone in either as staff and observed the way other staff have attitudes when assessing candidates, and as opposed to saying, that's Caroline Whitehead, she's got these skills, they're going, oh, they're black. Well, no, don't just assess them by the colour of their skin or whatever. The name, who they are, and what their skill set is in relation to the job that you're trying to recruit for. That is the key thing.
It should always be, it is irrelevant, not should be irrelevant. I've had people over the years say to me, what's it like to be a woman in business? And I say, I'm not a woman in business. I'm a business person who happens to be a woman. And exactly. It's that kind of, it's that label, isn't it, that isn't always helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Lady doctor. I hate that phrase. That's a doctor.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So we're 12 months on now, and I guess the key thing, sort of, we're talking about this today, like I say, when equality is front and centre of people's minds, has anything changed? Are we further on? Are things getting better? Is there any light or hope? Where are we now?
Well, and the thing is that for anybody listening and watching, I am not the ultimate spokesperson for it. I'm observing what I observe. It'd be really nice to get other people's point of view on this. Some people are trying. Some people, it's just gone in through one ear and out the other. I have been working closely with inclusive, universal inclusion, and they look at inclusive entrepreneurs. So predominantly to do with business people with a disability. But they are sort of expanding and widening it out to the protected characteristics. By that I mean age, sex, disability, sexual orientation, race, obviously, gender, and of course socioeconomic status. So they're looking at that from a wider standpoint. So some are making inroads and some are not, and it sort of needs to be unified. I'm not saying the pandemic is a good thing, but it has given people time to sit down and take stock and have a quiet word with themselves. Some people go, oh, we've got a pandemic, equality can wait. This week, or late last week, was the 50th anniversary of the Equal Pay Act.
Wow.
Yeah. And the Foresight Society have something out there. And Keir Starmer, I'm not getting political about it, but Keir Starmer has said front and centre that, he is supporting that and we need to sort of push forward for the Equal Pay Act. But people are saying we've got a pandemic, that needs to be put to one side. That's not the point. The point is that women are not being paid equally to men. The point is that women have the lion's share of, let's say, childcare and so on and so forth. The equal pay needs to be risen so that they can do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. These things should not be brushed under the carpet. They should be thought about and moved ahead. We are not going to go back to pre-COVID. No. It is a new dawn. Mm-hmm. Things are going to change. For us in the event industry, we're going to do things differently, and for other sectors as well. So really, this is the time that we should change things.
Yeah, and in fact, I was going to ask you about that in terms of my final question to you is what, you've always sort of spoke to me about diversity and made me aware, and I know there's a lot more that we can and perhaps should be doing. So for the industry as a whole, what kind of advice do you have, or what's the tips in terms of what should be? You said just now that it's a great time to sort of just be more aware and conscious of what we're doing, but what else can we all be doing as an industry?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say people of colour didn't just come here on the Windrush in 1948. People of colour have been in this country for 400 years, on and off. You read the workings of Shakespeare, you know, and the Bronte sisters and so on. There are threads of people of colour through history, if you pay attention. So, okay, it's nothing new. Decision makers must be diverse. It doesn't just happen, a conversation about race. It's difficult. I understand it's uncomfortable. If we don't talk and act, it will not happen. Okay? Deeds, not words, as Emmeline Pankhurst would say. Mm-hmm. There's a global shift. We can see it. Some things are not so nice, but there is a global shift. Some things are awful and people are being really, really nice. They're polar opposites. But we have to be brave and have that courageous conversation. I've said to you before that something that we should work towards is a diversity pledge or a diversity charter. There is the disability confident badge that's out there, and some companies are looking at that. There should be a diversity pledge and diversity charter. Some companies have their own. In America, in Silicon Valley, there's an organization, and it escapes me at the moment, but let me use the analogy of a cookie, because I do like a cookie. The analogy of a cookie, they haven't just sprinkled the macadamia nuts on top and the chocolate chips on top. It's baked through. Mm-hmm. It's part of the infrastructure. You would not leave health and safety out. You would not leave all these different things out. It should be wrapped and folded through your business.
I guess that's everything as well, isn't it? From the recruitment and people who work in the company. Yeah. I must say, for me, I'll be honest, I've never considered, because, you know, we don't employ the people who are doing the teas and coffees. It hasn't ever occurred to me, because I don't think I, in a positive way, see race. They're just people. So I think to be aware of everything that goes through the line, as well as things like who is speaking on the stage, who is, you know, being up there kind of getting the awards, who is, you know, who's representing our industry as much as who's working within it, and who's
got to see me be me culture, you know. And we as women, you and I, Emma, as women, we know that, you know, you see a woman that's done really well or doing something, you're like, oh, that's great, that's empowered you. Mm-hmm. It's the whole empowerment. Somebody with a disability in a wheelchair goes to get an award to do with best front of house. How awesome would that be? I can be I can be the first person they see. Absolutely. When they arrive at XY venue or hotel or whatever it is. You know, it's about embracing the population, and they're qualified. I'm not saying make allowances for people. They are qualified. I lecture, as you know, for marketing, business and events and event production, and the fruit on the tree are diverse. They are open, mm-hmm. and they are really, really ambitious. And then along the line, as they go in, they think, what has happened? And really, that should be translated in the real world. I try and make the teams see that everybody should be accepted.
Mm-hmm. Well, I, for one, look forward to the day when we don't have to talk about this, actually, when it's just, you know, it's, you know, everybody's accepted. We do have equality across mm-hmm. all the different sectors. And, you know, I will pledge today to work more closely with you and your teams in terms of looking at ways we can become more diverse and equal in terms of, you know, who comes to the shows, who speaks, who, you know, that very, like you say, ingrained within it all. So
this would be really nice. So this is an Inclusive Companies Award, Certificate of Excellence. Something like this, when people enter your venue, your hotel, mm-hmm. to show that you are inclusive. Why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah. And is that something that is that an award that people can, is it an acknowledgement or is it an award that people win? How does that work?
Well, this is an acknowledgement. So basically there is the National Diversity Awards.
Right.
Founded by Paul Sassay. And the spin-off from that is the Inclusive Companies Awards. And it's really, really interesting. So that category was Champion of Inclusion, okay? And there is an overall winner, but everybody who was shortlisted, including myself, in that category, we got a certificate of excellence.
Brilliant.
Which is fantastic. So you feel that you're doing the right thing. And I just want to add as well that after I did the first Direct Arena last year for you guys, that talk and that panel discussion, the following day I flew to the United Nations.
I remember, yes, yeah.
So the following day, flew to the United Nations with the People's Hub team, and there were 1,500 delegates from 130 countries talking about different projects in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. I spoke about the diversity in the event industry, but also as well, I champion gender equality, and I spoke about that. But it was nice to see everyone embrace and talk about their projects as well. We're not isolated in this, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
We're local to global.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, on that note, I shall thank you, most importantly, and we'll continue the conversation. And I think the one big takeaway I've got from listening to you today is that we have to just talk about this stuff. And like you say, it can be uncomfortable, but maybe we could just say, look, I know this is uncomfortable, but let's do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm like I say, I'm a vintage wine. I want action now. Deeds, not words.
Absolutely. Well, to that, cheers. I wish I had a glass of wine to cheers with you.
Yeah, I do as well.
And hopefully I will see you in person very soon.
Oh, yes. It's
Take
lovely
care.
to see your face.
Absolutely. Lots of
Thank
love.
you.